Since buying our new property and living tiny for a year, we felt we needed a little more space. That led to us deciding to build another tiny house. We already designed the space and brainstormed our ideas in episode 1, so make sure you guys go back and watch that. But now we get to start building this place out. To put this paper design to life, we first needed our base, which meant we had to go shed shopping. So we're out today, again, shopping for sheds. We're just getting an idea to look around. I feel like once you're actually inside of them and seeing what you're gonna build inside, it gives you a better notion of like spacing and where you wanna put things. So that's the goal for today. We're really excited, and this is like the first step to the whole apartment project, and hopefully it comes out really good. We had decided to drive to a few local shed stores near us, and they had so many different styles we literally didn't even know where to start. For example, this barn shed that I think a lot of people would go with. However, the style is a little too farmy for what we wanted to do because we really like that modern aesthetic look. Plus, we definitely wanted vaulted ceilings, so we love the triangle roof. They have these gorgeous doors. I've never seen these on sheds before, and then we also have like the electrical in here, but this is kind of the size that we're looking for. Is like a 12 by 30-ish, but we're gonna modify everything so we have multiple doors. We found one on the lot that was really close to what we wanted, but we still had to make a few modifications, so we went ahead and customized it, placed our order, and our shed was gonna be delivered within 2 to 4 weeks. Or so we thought. Our shed was ready for delivery within 3 weeks, so the company actually kept their promise. However, we were struggling to get the permit from our county. The company that we bought our shed from also did the installation, so they went ahead and brought it over to our property, and they leveled it out with some blocks that we had to purchase ourselves. Now that the hardest part is over, we finally get to start with the actual build. But there's a problem. We're planning a huge housewarming party in August, which means we only have about 2 months to complete this entire project, and thanks to the county, they left us with a tight timeline. Thankfully, we didn't waste any time as we called up our contractors, which we had already previously vetted from the farmhouse, and we started off prepping the space by marking off where everything was gonna go until we noticed that the shed was only 11'6" and not a full 12 feet. We were gonna have to make some slight adjustment because of the size change. However, we got straight to work building out the walls for the closet and the bathroom, which are gonna separate from the main living space. Building the interior wall was definitely one of the easier parts of this build, and you can find multiple YouTube tutorials that teach you how to do it the correct way. Essentially, you're just cutting a bunch of 2x4s and putting them together until you have a wall with a hole for the door. And for the bathroom one, we also had to measure out the pocket door which we purchased, so that way everything would fit nice and snug. Once we had the walls framed, we could have a better idea as to where we wanted to put the windows to bring in some more natural light into the space. We decided to have our handyman come out and install the windows because we didn't want to ruin any of the outside siding, and we're kind of notorious for having leaks come in. The next part of this project was highly anticipated, but also very scary because we were finally digging the trench to run all the lines back to the main house. Good morning, good morning. Welcome back to another day of the tiny shed conversion that we're doing. We have our plumber who's out here digging the trench right now with this little machine that we rented at Home Depot. This is officially the first, I guess, big step in terms of hooking it up because we're digging all the trenches for the electrical, the plumbing, and just any other power lines that we're gonna need over there, so that way we have a fully functioning shed. Due to county regulations and also the budget for this project, we had to run everything based off of the main house because we couldn't have another meter, septic, and well just for the shed. This definitely saved us a couple thousand. However, we will have to clean our septic tank more often and get a lot more amperage for the electrical. And of course, the bigger the project, the bigger the purchases. This is also your reminder to make sure you guys are keeping all of your receipts and bookkeeping everything, so that way you can mark down the improvements made to your property. Because we had already gotten bids from our contractors ahead of time, we made sure to schedule everyone so that way it made sense in the order that they were doing things. And of course, one of the most important parts is the electrical, which we made sure to hire out professionals because this is definitely one of the more dangerous parts. Once we had the walls framed out, they came out and ran all the wires. We basically just drew everything out for them and also explained it to them verbally, so that way there was no miscommunication. Okay, so we're out here another day working out on the shed conversion, and our plumber's out here doing some work because I could never understand half of what he's doing. And our plumber did everything from the shower to the toilet to all of the sinks in the place and make sure that they were gonna have hot and cold running water. Not to mention making sure that the lines from our first tiny house and our second tiny house lined up so that they would all get water coming in from the well with enough water pressure. We have the lines running straight from the house. He's just about finishing up. It's gonna connect halfway to the tiny house. the OG. And then it's gonna use the same well and septic that's in the main house, which is all the way in the front, which is why we have this trench dug literally through the whole entire property. And the septic tank is right about there, so we had to do one for the electrical and one for the plumbing. We have obviously the water lines that are a little bit skinnier, and then over here we had to put in a pump halfway through, so when we flush our toilets on this house and that one, this little pump here is going to basically flow everything all the way where it's supposed to go. Welcome to week 4 of the shed conversion. We have gotten so much done the last few weeks inside, but we can't wait to see it finally come to life, but there's still a lot to do. So let me show you guys what we have going on right now. So starting off with the front of the house, clearly the front kind of looks the same, but there's a giant window and a tiny one that's gonna lead into the bathroom. We bought some stock sizes, which definitely help keep the cost down because windows can be some of the most expensive parts. Now let's come on inside. Okay, so as you guys can see, the space in here looks completely different. It really doesn't seem like much now, but this is all gonna be a functioning living area in the future. Okay, so coming onto this side of the house, we're currently in like the back corner that doesn't really get much light because there's no windows on this side. This wall right here is what's gonna separate the living / office area from the closet. Also too, on this wall, really wanted to do a strong accent wall. But because this is his office area, we already had the people from our internet service provider run the cable in here. That way we just have the best internet possible in here. We're hoping to get the AC up and running next week. That way when we're doing the flooring and all the finishing touches, we can work with some nice cool air. But for right now, I'm currently dripping sweat. And then once we get to the living room, we have all of this space that's basically gonna be the kitchen on that end, and then we're gonna have the office space on this end, and we're also gonna hang a TV up on this side. We've already planned and pre-structured all of the electrical to go in the places where they need to be. Our AC is gonna go right up top so that way it pulls a cool breeze throughout the whole space because the house is really long. And then coming on over to this side, we're going to have sort of like a bar situation here. So we really wanted to have a nice cool space to have our friends over. We're making everything very like sexy, seductive, and black. So I'm really excited to see how it's all gonna come together in terms of color and style. Right on this side, we're gonna have the refrigerator. So we went ahead and installed a pocket door. That way it would kind of be out of the way. And all of these things had to be really planned out. That way we wouldn't have wires running into each other. And obviously the plumbing makes sense. We have all of these GCFI outlets. That way everything is nice and safe. And we also have the hot and cold water. This other pipe that's connected right here is also going to the toilet, which happens to be facing the back side of this wall. It ended up turning out really well, and I think it's also gonna make sense once it's all built out. Moving on into the bathroom. This bathroom is absolutely ginormous, but there is a good reason for it. Right in here is the shower, and the shower is pretty large compared to most like normal house showers. It's actually 6 foot by like 3 foot, whereas the one in the other tiny house is 3 by 3. Clearly my husband lucked out because this is like the nicer shower. There is a tip if I will give you one. You literally order everything that you know you might need beforehand. And luckily for you guys, I made a downloadable PDF to see a list of everything that you'll need to buy. So that way you don't miss a single thing when you're building out your own tiny house shed. As you notice, the kitchen is literally back facing to the bathroom. And if you guys watched the first episode, we did that for a very particular reason. And that's because all of the plumbing and electrical were meant to stay more on this side of the house. So right in here we have the vanity, and I think we originally planned to have a door over here. On this side we have what is the toilet essentially. And then one of the most important things that we needed in this house, because we don't have it in our tiny house, is having a washer and dryer. The space is big, but it's not big enough to fit a side-by-side washer and dryer, so we decided to opt for one of those top-down units. And that's why we have this wire right here. We have a special outlet for the dryer because that one's definitely gonna take up a lot more energy. And so lastly, our water heater, it is a tankless. I think because we only have one restroom, it's gonna be more than enough. And it's also really convenient because it's literally gonna fit in the attic. And just about everything else that we need that doesn't need to be in sight, but it's very important to have this house running. Have the water shut off right here, which is really nice because in case we have a leak inside, we can just come out here and turn it off. This is our electrical panel. She is an outside unit. We have quite a few breakers in here. I don't think they use all of them, but this is a 240 panel, so it's definitely gonna sustain everything that we have going on inside, plus our jacuzzi, which is going to be wired to this. And of course, if you guys want to follow along this build, make sure you hit that subscribe button and let us know in the comments what your favorite part was.